Late Night Lori from Lori's Little Bit of Craftin. Let me get my devices set up. So I can see when folks join me live and hopefully keep up with the comments. I'm surprised I didn't have any troubles tonight because YouTube shows this as coming up on my iPad, but live on my computer. Strange how that works. So, welcome. It is 11:58 p.m. on Thursday, December 18th, and I'm kind of on time. I'm before midnight. So welcome. I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, and welcome. I think I might have said that already, but thanks for stopping by. And I just have a couple of quick announcements. I know some people don't come on right away when I go live. Looks like we're a little elongated. I'm going to unplug my power because sometimes it seems like that does it, but I don't know if it'll reset it. So we're just going to be a little stretched tonight. That'll be all right. So, hello, Yuda. So my couple of quick announcements. My new store link is latenightlori.stampinup.net. I'll zoom that in there so you can see it better. It's easier to spell than Lori Macari. So Late Night Lori is a little easier. All right, we've got a mini catalog coming up. So those of you who are not demonstrators, this will go live on January 6th. Yes, January 6th until May 4th. I cannot show you the inside of the catalog. Stampin' Up! Has rules. I can only show you the cover and things that I make with the new products. So hang around for some of those tonight. We're not going to be doing anything out of that catalog, but we'll be doing something with something new. One last announcement, kind of, this virtual card retreat. I think last night I showed all of the goodies from it. I'm really looking forward to it. This is going to be a 2-day, 7 hours a day, led by Stampin' Up! Professionals, crafting class online. 15 cards. They will be more advanced cards, or at least advanced techniques, and we'll get lots of tips and tricks. So when you purchase the virtual card kit, it automatically counts as your registration, and you'll get all the information you need for that. If you have questions, let me know. All right, here's what we're going to play with tonight. The Cool Kids Club stuff, as Sarah puts it. Product of the month. We are using this True Blue Florals paper again tonight. We used it last night and made a couple of cards out of the same paper. We made 2 cards, but a couple of different versions. And I will, maybe tomorrow, case one of these other cards. We cased this one a little bit ago, but not with the papers from this pack. I cased it before I had the papers. So we'll do that. Make sure if you want that product of the month that you are opted in for Stampin' Rewards. Make sure that you do have an account, because you can't opt in for rewards if you don't have an account. And then you do have to make a minimum purchase in the United States. It is $75. You will then, and that's before tax and shipping, but then you can opt in to get the product of the month for just $5. Every month it's going to be something different. If you want more details about the product of the month, I've talked about it a few times, and I'll add more details from time to time, but I think that's probably enough for now. So let's take a look at the one card we did last night. This was the one that I finished, and then here is the one that I almost finished. We had it kind of laid out, but I added on the sentiment. And then I thought what I would do is add another floral focal image on here. And what I ended up doing is I did some ink blending on a scrap of white with just the balmy blue that's in the paper and the Night of Navy. So I did the Night of Navy just kind of around the edges. I did the balmy blue on the inside. And then I just kind of stippled some Daffodil Delight in the middle of that piece. Okay, just with my blending brush. You could do it with any kind of paintbrush, I suppose, or a sponge dauber, that would work. So I cut out that piece, and I should probably tell you what I'm using here, huh? So this is the Delightful Wishes dies. It's the same one that I used last night for this and for the wishing. Came out of the Delightful Wishes. And I'm using tonight the bigger flowers, these two. So this one gives you the dimension and this one gives you the outline. So what I did was, I did my ink blending, I die cut them, and then I put some multi-purpose adhesive or multi-purpose liquid glue on here. And I wanted to show you kind of how to line this up, because there is a specific way for this dimension piece to get lined up to your flower so that it sits right. So there's this little tab kind of down here, and there's a little tab down here on this flower. So if you line those up, your flower insert sits right where you need it to sit. All right. And I just wanted that little bit of yellow in the center just to kind of make it look a little bit more like a flower. And we're going to put that on up on some dimensionals, and then this card is going to be done. And we're going to move on to our fun fold. How are you today, Yuda? And I'm not going to put a stem on there. I'm just putting the flower on there today. I think I kind of like it that way. And then I do have some of the rhinestones that I put some Night of Navy alcohol blend on. And we're just going to kind of pop those on here, and then this card will be done. I have found that if I think too much about where the dots have to go, then they probably don't look good to my eye. So lots of cleaning, Christmas cleaning. I'm kind of going to luck out on that because we're not hosting anything for Christmas this year. So that's kind of nice. My husband's daughter is going to host Christmas with the grandkids at their house, and then his brother and sister-in-law are going to host for another part of the family at their house. So I'm not sure what days we're going to balance what, but I still have to do shopping for kids and wrapping, and I really need to get my cards out. That may be my focus tomorrow, my Christmas cards. I have a ton of them. I just have to address envelopes and send them out. So here's our 2 cards from last night, finished. So one version was kind of the clean, uncolored, but this is the exact same DSP where I just added alcohol blends with Daffodil Delight and Lemon Lime Twist, and gives it a whole different look, I think. Gives it a whole different look. And then with the wishing on Lemon Lime Twist instead of white. So those are those. Let me know what you think. Monochromatic or colorized? So let me just put these dies away because I don't know if we're going to use those or not. We might. I don't know. But I don't want to lose anything. So we'll get that stuff set aside. So a while back, we did a fun fold. Well, thank you, Vicki. Welcome. A while back, we did a fun fold that a friend of mine had sent me. Hello, Susan from Melbourne. Are you folks still really hot today? 22 here for Christmas lunch. Oh, that's a big group. My goodness. That's a lot of people. You must have a good space to have that many people in there. It's good when things are organized, right? All right, so a while back we did this. You're still in Delaware, huh? Well, I hope your son and his family are doing okay. I mean, the fact that you're still there tells me that they're not doing good enough for you to go home, right? I hope there's been some improvement. So this is a fun fold we did a while back. A friend of mine, trying to think, she is from Kansas. Oh, still hot for you. Oh, surgery on the 30th of this month, huh? Happy New Year. Hopefully that'll get him some relief. All right, so my friend from Kansas sent me this card. I think it was, I don't know, it's actually been a year or two. It's been quite a while. But I made a template because when I see a fun fold that I like to make my template. A lot of times I will use just some of my retired cardstock or DSP, and I'll write my measurements on it, and that's my template. I know some people do like sketches, which is fine. I do some of those too. Like last night I kind of did this very juvenile looking sketch, but whatever works at the time, right? So for this, we need a piece that's 5.5 inches by 11. So I have just a thick basic white piece. And we are going to do some scoring. So we're going to score at 1 3/4, 5.5, and 9 3/4. So I'm going to extend our arm on here. So get me my cutting blade out of the way. And I don't know if you've noticed, but when the trimmer comes from Stampin' Up, the cutting blade is actually on top. For whatever reason, for me, I prefer my cutting blade down at the bottom because I like to get it out of the way if I score, and just, I don't know if it's my left-handedness or what, but I like my scoring one up at the top. But the scoring one is the light one, the dark one is the cutting blade. So let's go to 1 3/4, and we'll give it a score. Now I could do some flipping and flopping to get my folds to go the right way. Quite honestly, it's probably not that critical as long as you burnish your edges. All right, so then we're going to do 5.5. And then we're going to do 9 3/4. And we can fold this one in. Let me move this out of the way for right now. And if your paper's not quite straight, go ahead and straighten it out and give that 5.5 a burnish. So this was 11 inches, right? So 5.5 is just basically half of our card. It's folded right in the middle. This one will come over, and maybe you can see there's a little score line here. So you're going to see these are different sizes, but we're going to end up at 4 1/4, the way these are scored. So when I bring this over, and you probably can't see the bottom, but this is the 4-inch line right here, and this is 4 1/4, so it will fit in our envelope. Okay. So there's our fun fold. Now, we're also going to put a belly band on this, but we'll do that later. We might do some ribbon instead of a belly band, so we'll decide when we get that far. And this one's just not laying quite how I want it to. There we go. You've got yours on the top too. Yeah, I don't know what it is. It just makes more sense to me. All right, so there's our fun fold. So now all we need to do is get our designer series paper and get that attached. So I have all of those marked on here as well. All right. And I even have pieces for what will be like the back side. So we're gonna do a 5 1/4 inch piece. So, oh, I suppose I should show you the papers from last night because not everybody was here. Not everybody was here. Sorry, I wasn't talking close to my mic. But this is the True Blue Florals. So this is a piece we're using tonight. This is the back side. There's another one and the back side. So this is a normal pack of paper, two-sided. So you get 2 each of 6 different sheets, but they're two-sided. So you get 12 designs. All right, so there's that one and the back side or the front side. Front and the back, front and the back, and front and the back. All right, and I have an idea that I almost did tonight, but I thought, oh, we're gonna do this fun fold tonight. I need to be somewhere in the morning, well, later this morning, because it's just after midnight for me. So I don't want to be on super long tonight. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so we are going to take this and we're going to cut 3 1/2. And we're going to see how this looks. So this one is going to go here. And then we've got a piece that's 1 1/2. And again, this piece I've trimmed down to 5 1/4. So we've got our nice little border. So that'll go there. We're going to cut another piece at 1 1/2. Because that's going to go here. And then as we open this up, we're going to have 3 1/2 again. And that'll be for the inside piece. And then we're going to have a layer some white here, maybe with a layer of Night of Navy. And then we need a piece that's 1 inch. Let's get that on there. Whoops, it went a little rogue there. So we need a 1 inch piece here and then a 1 inch piece here. So that takes care of all 11 inches. Okay. And then on the back, we don't need anything. All right. Or 12 inches. Sorry, I said 11. It's a 12-inch piece. All right. So our base is 5 1/2 by 11. Our designer series papers are 5 1/4 by 12. And then we cut everything down. All right. So now what we're going to do is decide if we want that piece showing or that design. So I can move this out of the way. And let me back up just a little bit more. I don't know if you wanted to see that. We've done this before, so I really like this side. So I'm almost thinking of that. Now, if we wanted to make our card heavy, we could put layers on here as well. So if you wanted to dress it up a little bit with like the Balmy Blue or Night of Navy on there, you could. I am not going to do this for this one because I'll mail it. If I was going to hand deliver it, or if it was going in a package, I might make it a little bit heavier, but I'm kind of skimpy on whether I have to do extra postage. All right. So we have this piece for here. We have this piece for here, whatever side we want to use. So I'm thinking if we do this and this, they'll look pretty good, or that way and that way. What are we thinking? light, dark, or dark, light, dark. And I'll bring it in a little bit more, I guess, again. Any preferences? Because that'll drive how we do the inside as well. Because if this flap is dark, I'm going to want this one to be light. Or we could do them all the same color. Light, dark. So this will be dark. And this one will be light. Light, dark, light. All right, there we go. All right, so let's start putting these down here. I really like this fold. It's so easy, but it looks so nice. And somebody who doesn't make cards is going to be impressed, because you can't buy cards like this in the store. At least not in any stores by me. Now we do have some people that hand make cards, and some of our local businesses will sell them for them. So if you sell your Stampin' Up! Cards, just make sure that you are putting a copyright indicator on there. Stampin' Up! Has some stamp sets like that, but that's part of Stampin' Up! Policy, is if you sell your cards, you have to put their copyright on it for any of the images. All right, so we're going to put this one as dark. And I usually put that stamp, unless I forget or I'm in a hurry, I put that stamp on all of my cards, whether I'm selling them or giving them. Sometimes I will give my cards and I don't sign them, but I have a little poem that I put inside them so that if they need to send a card out. So it says, I did not sign this card before I sent it off to you. Instead, it holds my warmest thoughts, invisible but true. And if you find a time you need to brighten someone's day, then take this card and sign it and send it on its way. Somebody else had posted this. I think I changed it up a little bit to suit my rhythm on a poem. But I will put that a lot of times in a card if I'm not going to sign it, so that they can still use it. But then I will definitely put my Stampin' Up! Copyright stamp on the back. So this one is handcrafted from the heart, and then it's got that copyright Stampin' Up! Here's another one, hand stamped. So they have some sets that have the copyright symbol on them. Like this one. I think this one's retired, but I like them, so I hang on to them. Here's the one where I use that. Here's one, a paper hug from me, which I like. So keep that in mind if you ever sell your Stampin' Up! Cards. All right. And then this one will also be light. So these are, or dark rather. These will be the same on those sides of the flaps. So how far is everybody who celebrates in their Christmas preparations? Aside from lunch for 22 already, Susan. That's impressive. I think the most I've ever had at once for like a luncheon or a dinner was probably about 10. All right, so this one we're going to do light. And I know I kind of squiggle my glue all over, but it's a very light 1% ready. Yay, I'm with you, Yuda. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I shipped out food baskets to some of the family that's out of state. And we're doing light on this side. We had lunch with friends of ours today and exchanged gifts with them. So little by little, we have, you know, things ticked off the list. And I am one of those where if I have gifts to wrap, I'm doing it just before that event. Susan, you are so blessed. I am blessed in a different way because if I don't want to make dinner, my husband will take me out. It's not always fancy, and I'm all right with that. So this one will do dark. So this one will not be the same on both sides, but that one is, okay? But this one we want dark to go dark, light, dark. Roast lamb on the Weber grill. I am not sure, actually, if I've ever had lamb. I think I have. I bet the house is going to smell wonderful. I will be doing some sourdough bread. Tomorrow's Friday, right? Yeah, I'm probably going to have to do sourdough bread over the weekend because a friend of mine needs some sourdough bread because she is about out. And then when we do Christmas with family, we'll be taking something with. So that's really pretty, I think. So let's go ahead and do our belly band. So this we will use the other part of our piece of cardstock. I'm pulling it out here because this is going to go to 9 3/4. So we can't use the normal 8 1/2 side. We need to use the long side. So when this one came off of here, because it was 5 1/2, so 8 1/2, so we have, what, 3 inches left, right? Yep, 3 inches. We're going to take 1 1/2 inches off of here. And that's going to be our belly band. From one extreme of heat to perfect in a week. Yeah, we're like that sometimes. So we're going to do 1 1/2. In fact, let me do my 9 3/4 first because that'll give me a bigger piece down on the end for a sentiment somewhere. I'll just put that in my little white bucket there. And then we'll do 1 1/2. All right, and this is extra. You can use that for sentiments too, because that's a little narrow. And then I've got this scored at 2 1/4 and 6 5/8 inch-ish. And let's just see here if this is 9 3/4. Yeah. So I have a note here to cut off. So this I actually have about 9 5/8 because I've got a note here to cut off 1 3/8 for less overlap, I guess. So if I score this at 2 1/4, that's going to get it across the front. And then I'm not going to score the other one because when we put it across here, I want to just finger fold this over here and then burnish it so that it's just the right tension that I need. And if I score it to begin with, then I can't really control the tension. You know, so if it's just a little bit off, you know, if my score lines were a little bit off. And then depending on how thick my card is, sometimes I will make a second score line to kind of make a a binding almost, so that there's a little bit of flatness. I don't know how to explain it. All right. So this will end up going like that. We're going to put something pretty on there, but let's put some of that designer series paper on here as well. So let me get this other scrap, and we are going to go, if this was 1.5 inches, we're going to do 1.25 inches, and then basically we need about 4.25 inches, right? Because actually we need 4, because the card width is 4.25. All right, so we'll go 4 by 1.25 inches. Sometimes math is hard. I was always good at math in school, but sometimes I overthink things. Hello, Tanya, welcome. So this is going to go here, and we're just going to cover that up just like that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and put some glue on here. You could use tear and tape, whatever you want. And then I still need to make my layer inside for that, where I would normally put my message. And then we have to decide what we want to put on the front. So I think that's going to stay. This is going to go right here. And again, you could make layers for all of these, but it's going to make your card considerably heavier. So you have to decide what your postage limits are. And I just, in my eye, this needed to be the dark just because we've got 2 lights there, and then I wanted a dark here. All right, and then this other, you can see the seam here a little bit. We're going to put a focal point over there. So we could do something like this, where there's a die and a stamp, and that would kind of go with some of the foliage pieces in here. Or we could do, let me just pull this off of here. We could do like this rose on there, and probably fussy cut that, because this does not have dies to go with that rose. So there's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, so it's got some foliage and some other things. This doesn't cut out all the way. It cuts like the leaves will lift, but the stem won't. So that might be kind of fun. What do you think we want to do? What do we want it to say? Another happy birthday. We could do another wishing and put flowers behind it even. I was thinking the rose too. Perfect. And I'm going to do the rose in Night of Navy. I think I used this for a class. It got really stained. And I think that's the only stamp that I've actually used out of here. I used the dies quite a bit, but not the stamp so much. All right, so let's, thinking of you. Let's see if I can find a thinking of you. I'm sure I have one somewhere. That's always good, because then the card being so neutral, you can use it for almost anything, right? And I'm just trying to rub off any kind of machining residue there might be on there. And we'll see how that looks. Put my Pearson mat in here. I'm going to get rid of that, get that out of the way. And ink that up. I think that will be quite stunning. Yeah, any of the inks that have red or pink stain a lot. And it doesn't bother me. Probably because I knew ahead of time that that was the result of the inks. It doesn't bother me. I know people are like, oh, it's stained. Isn't that stunning? I love that. So if I had done this with a red, I could tell you that it won't come clean. Since we're doing it with the blue, look at how clean that is. All right, so it still picks up a little bit of the ink because I didn't have it washed off all the way. You can see where there's still some residue there. Some of the purple hues I have noticed leave some stains too. But again, I don't worry about it just because I know that's what's going to happen. All right, and we're gonna do some fussy cutting on here. Or we could just, well, no, because I put that other thing on there. I was thinking we could just do it as a square piece. Or what if I got a circle? Let's take a look here. What if we did like Spotlight on Nature and left the stem part off of there and just put the flowers on there? Let's see. Oh, I probably did it too close because it's not going to capture all of my flower. I did it too close to the edge, but I could always stamp it again. Should we do that? Do you think a circle would be fun? An oval. I do not have, I don't think I have any oval dies that are current. I have some label dies that might, I have a heart. I have some of these paper pumpkin ones. That one's kind of small. Let me take a look. Oh, how about this? That might be pretty. Oh, the arches. That might be really pretty. So you're so good you remember what I have, right? That could be pretty. That might be right at the edge. I think maybe I should restamp that. That's fine. Let me just get a bigger piece of white. I can save this and fussy cut it for a different project. I think that's what I'll do. I think that looks just stunning with the Night of Navy. So we'll do this more in the middle. Now I could hello, Lynn, but that's not your real name. I remember it's not your real name, but what is your real name? It might come to me. Welcome from Minnesota. I know. I would like Susan Johnson to invite me for Christmas supper too. Oh, of course, Lori spelled the other way. I should have remembered that because I'm Lori spelled the other way. Maybe next time you pop in, I'll remember. The Lori's from the Midwest. I apologize. But at least I recognized you've been here before. All right. So what I was saying was I could try to double cut this so it's an oval by just putting it partway through the embossing machine. Or we could just do it as an arch. What do you want me to try? If it doesn't work out, I can always restamp it, right? On a good day, my memory might be better than yours. Not all days are good days. All right, I'm gonna put my Spotlight on Nature dies away. We'll put our branching out dies away. Gallery Blooms we'll keep out here. I just don't want to lose any of my dies. I got a lot of stuff going on here. All right, Spotlight on Nature. All right, whatever I can keep contained is always helpful. So just as an arch, that does make it easier. All right, let's get out, we'll get out the little machine because I can just cut this a little bit on each side so it's narrow enough for the little machine. That way it doesn't take up quite so much space on my table here. And I did retire my one plate from yesterday into the old garbage bin. I think you can see that. I think that ought to be pretty good. And with dies like this, especially with a little warped plate, I try to put the top plate in first and then just lay it down so that my die doesn't move. Usually it works. Sometimes not, but usually it does. So obviously that's a die that has not cut an arch before because you could hear it crack. And then this plate has a little crack in the side too. But I get a lot of use out of them. Plus I have, you know, like my granddaughter uses them and people in my classes use them. So sometimes it's just not consistent wear. Now, should I make a little bit bigger arch and have it in Night of Navy? Or just leave it like this? Because this will end up sliding off of here and we'll put our little sentiment piece in here. This will trim down. My thumb crack glue on my plate. That's my super glue. That's what I use for my thumb cracks. Is that what you're talking about? That would probably work. It doesn't seem to really do anything. It's not like the crack is getting any bigger on that plate. It's been that way for, I don't know, a long time. Months, if not over a year. So that'll go there. And I wonder if I could just edge it in blue ink or if I should put a blue layer underneath. Let's see what a blue layer underneath will look like. We're going to do 4. Oh yeah, that one I'm not ready to throw out yet. The other plate that I did get rid of was the bottom plate that was really warped, and it had lots of cuts and paper bits in it, and I didn't really feel bad getting rid of that one. It was in pretty bad shape. So I'm thinking maybe if we put this here and then cut this down a little bit further. So we'll go. So I'm going to 4 1/8, I think. No, 1/8 under 4, so 3 7/8, and then 5 1/8. So I think that looks better than just the white on white. So I think that'll work. And I'm just lining this up with those other Designer Series paper strips so that it's all level. And then this piece, I am just going to use a little bit of seal on the back of there. Yuta, you can remind me if I forget to pull it out later, but I probably won't write on it today. But that way it's in there, and when I take this out to write on it, if I mess up, it's not all glued in my card. All right. Now, do we need a Night of Navy piece on the back of here? I think that might give it a little bit more substance. So let's see what die I used. We'll go to the next bigger die. And we'll just trim this down. This will still fit in the small one, I'm pretty sure. I hope they never get rid of Night of Navy because that is just such a pleasant color for me. Although Secret Sea is pretty impressive too. Not quite black. Darker than Night of Navy. What's everybody's favorite color? Or your favorite color combo? I like Night of Navy and Lemon Lime Twist. Now, the last time I used these arches, I did make mention of the fact that there are all these little holes here, and sometimes they don't release all the little bits. On the white, it doesn't show so much, but I can see all the little white pieces there. Midnight Muse might have been before I was doing Stampin' Up! Stuff. I do not remember that color. So I'm guessing that was before 2017. So you probably cannot see what I'm doing here, but I'm running my fingernail across here and it's popping off all the little edges that didn't release from that die. So it's actually dotted. And if there's just a couple that are still there, I'm not going to worry about it. There are a couple that don't want to release. Oh, there they go. All right, so now I've got all kinds of little blue ones on my table now. Not anymore. All right, so this can go on here. Now, if we were doing a colorized card, I would get my alcohol blends and give that some color, but I like just the monochromatic effect of this one. If somebody wants it colorized, we can do that another day. My husband likes navy blue because that was the color of the uniform he wore for 40 years. You would almost think you would hate the color by the time you've been wearing it for 40 years, but not him. All right, so this is going to go right on here. Now we can put this on dimensionals even. So we just need about a 1/2 inch on each side. So I can put some dimensionals across there just to lift it up a little bit. And then I need to find a thinking of you sentiment. And I'll just look through my stamps quick unless somebody has one in mind. I can see if it's in my repertoire, my collection. Not sure where I thought I was going with that. I think that's pretty close. I think this one I'm going to move over just a little bit because I put the point instead of the flat edge. There. Beautiful. Oh, 2012 to 2014. Okay, so that was just a couple of cycles before I started doing Stampin' Up. So see how nice that is? What a pretty card, right? And just simple. I probably have the original somewhere because, you know, it got sent to me from a friend, and I like to hang on to some of those. But like I said, I do my templates out of my old cardstock. Like this is Pear Pizzazz, one of my other favorite colors that has long since retired. All right, let's get some rhinestones on here. And I'm thinking we could probably just do those. Should I make them Night of Navy or just leave them clear? While you're thinking, I will go get my Night of Navy alcohol blend. Wait a minute, it should be here somewhere. There it is. I have it. So let's just color a few of these. Isn't it in the foliage? Yeah. It was. That's exactly where it was. All right. Did anybody think of a thinking of you sentiment? Oh, and here's a die too. Luckily, it was on my magnet. That is from this. See, that's why I do a head count before I put all my stuff away. 18, 19. All right. And then if there's 2 cards, I write 1 and 2, but then I try to remember to write how many dies I should have so that I don't have to read this itty bitty little number. But I try to make sure that I have them all in there so that I don't have orphans. Because when I have orphans, Then they go on this little magnet board. I think these were orphans from my mom. And I have not discovered where those need to go yet. Leave them clear. Okay, we can leave them clear. We'll put, I think the big ones are a little too gaudy. And then this way we can put our thinking of you in there. Hopefully it won't be too big. Let's just see. Just for you. I will, in the foliage set. Oh yeah, thank you. Is that what you were talking about? Sometimes I'm just not paying attention. Friendly foliage, yes, thinking of you. And that's a beautiful font too. Thinking of you. Whoa, box elderbug from the outside. Hang on, I'm going to throw them outside. You would think that they would all be chilled out by now, but they keep hitchhiking into the house. They just want to be warm. All right. That could go right there. All right, let's get a piece of our white. And we'll probably frame that out with a Night of Navy piece also. And that will probably work really well there. If I would have been thinking, here's what I would have done. I would have used, if I'd have thought ahead, I would have put a small piece of masking tape here so that we would have inked over it with the flowers and put our sentiment right in the middle. Maybe we'll do something like that tomorrow. In fact, I will pull out my masking paper as a reminder. And I'll just hold that there because I like to let the ink settle in a little bit. I love that font. Good choice, Yuda. Very, very good choice. When you said the foliage set before, I thought you were talking about where my Night of Navy markers were, my alcohol blends, because that's right where they were too. And I don't know if you saw what I did here. These are the new packages, but I inked this up and just put it on. I've been using typing paper now. Just copier paper, but this I did on a piece of cardstock, which is kind of a waste of the cardstock. But then it's right on there and I can see where the stamps have to go and where they kind of line up. And I still leave it on the plastic sheets because if you store it right on the paper, you're going to peel paper off. But that just makes it easier for me to see where everything's supposed to go and if I'm missing anybody. All right, so there's that. And let's trim this out. Get my little guillotine. trying to decide if that's crooked on the top or crooked on the bottom. That looks pretty good. A little of it went a little wonky right on the end. I think it'll be all right. All right, and then, oh, look at that. That's like a perfect border size. Nice. And then we're just going to go right about to there. Let's get that out of the way. Let's see how that looks. We could probably make it a little bit narrower, but I think that might work. What do you think? Right in the middle, off to the side. I could move these gems too. Maybe I should put that down there and move the gems. What do you think? In the middle or at the bottom? Because if I put it in the middle, it kind of is covering up the roses or the peonies. I think those might be peonies, actually. Bottom or middle? The middle kind of goes with the belly band. Well, while you're thinking, I'll attach part of this. And maybe you're just going to leave me to my own devices. I think either way we're covering up flowers. We could kind of put it there. I think I'm going to move my gems and put it on the bottom. Maybe I'll move my gems. There we go. That little gem might not survive. Oh, there we got it. All right. Yep, I decided. Executive decision made. That's all right. All right. Lovely. I think that is really cool. Now, what I could do is make up a bunch of these in the different color or the different patterns, and just show you how different they can all look. So I don't know that I'll do that on camera or not. We'll see. But I think tomorrow we'll play with some masking paper. I'm going to leave this out here as a reminder for me. So thank you for popping in, everybody. I appreciate the company. Lori, Yuta, Susan, who else is maybe still here? Tanya, Vicky. I think that might be everybody that chimed in. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to call it a night. or a morning. It's just a little after 1 a.m. here, so we got done in about an hour. Part of that was my chit chat in the beginning with my announcements. But I love this designer series paper. This is part of that product of the month that's available, and it's the True Blue Florals. So really pretty. I have another idea how to make it a little bit different too. So I have a couple of things in mind for the next couple of nights. We're gonna play with some blue for a couple of nights, and then we'll switch it up again. I don't like to be too long with one set of products. So thank you all for popping in. I appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day or your evening. And until next time, happy crafting, everybody.